This is the Power Platform Daily Brief from CRM Audio for Friday, May 17th, 2019. What you need to know about the Power Platform today in 10 minutes or less. I'm Brad Kuntz. Today we have a special Power Conversation, Friday Power Conversation with Nick Hayduk. Nick is the president of Engineered Code Consulting. He has been in this space for a very long time, formerly with ADX Studios. He knows a lot about portals, as you would guess. He's been on this network before on the Refresh the Cache podcast. So we had the pleasure of sitting down with him. So let's listen to that interview. Nick Hayduk, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for the invitation.
So, Nick, I know you've been in this channel for a long time. You were with ADX Studios way back in the day, right?
That's right. That's where I started my career, is with ADX Studio. Way back in the day, that would be in 2009. So I've been doing this dynamic CRM stuff for about 10 years now.
And so that explains why you are kind of a portal guy and kind of heads down looking at portals and becoming kind of that portal guru.
Definitely, that's where we spend the vast majority of our time, is on helping partners and clients with portals implementations. And I've just been kind of lucky enough to be exposed to portals since essentially the very beginning. Got to sit beside the team that was building it, and so it's been a great life these last 10 years just working on portal stuff.
Well, great. Well, this is the Friday Power Conversation, and we do a couple things here. We do a little bit of Q&A, and then we play a game called Buy or Sell. So let's just jump right into the questions. So first question, the recent spring release announcements. I think I know what you're going to say here, but the recent spring release announcements announced a whole slew of improvements to the Power Platform. In your mind and where you're sitting, what do you think is going to be the most impactful thing that came from those announcements a few weeks ago?
Well, I'm obviously a little biased with my kind of focus on portals, but the fact that the portal, it's still just in preview at this point, but the fact that the portal is now available to be installed in just a kind of pure CDS instance, whereas before you always required to have at least one of the Dynamics 365 first-party apps, whether it was sales or customer service, you always had to have one of those installed. Now you can turn on the portal if you're just using a base CDS instance. So portals is truly part of the Power Platform now, and that is hugely exciting for all of us that work with the portals product.
Yeah, I thought you might say something about portals, so that's good. Tell us about the first time you worked with Dynamics or any of the predecessor platform. You said you've been in this space for 2009, so I think you've got a pretty good Wayback Machine on those early versions.
Yeah, my first implementation was CRM version 4. I'm not lucky enough to have used 1 or 2 or 3, but CRM 4, that's where we first got started, kind of even before the days of CRM Online. So everything was on premise at those points. I still remember my first implementation. I was kind of thrown into it. I had to learn how to do the API. I got thrown into a data migration project, so I was working on moving an old accounting type system into Dynamics with a huge focus on translating a bunch of reports. So I learned very quickly the report schema and trying to translate these, dozens of custom reports into reports that could be run on a Dynamics instance. So I still remember that project very vividly.
Okay, great. Next question. What is your favorite travel technology? I know that in your role, you do travel a good bit.
Yeah, seems like every month here I'm heading to some different conference. My favorite way to kind of maximize the time, because a lot of the time when you're traveling, being from kind of out in the middle of nowhere, we're spending a lot of time on planes. It takes, at least one connection to get anywhere where we can fly anywhere else. So it's often 2 hops to wherever we want to go. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. It's how I kind of keep up to date on all the different things that are happening in our space. So the fact that I can have my phone, I load all my podcasts on there. It really helps me keep up to date, because otherwise, if you're not learning, you're falling behind in a very short span of time. So the fact that I got my podcast on my phone, the fact that the airlines are a little bit more flexible now, you can have your earphones in for most of the flight. It's kind of it's very important to me, and that's how I stay up to date on things.
Yeah, no, that's true, and that's a great point. Other than, of course, the podcasts that are produced by the CRM Audio Network, what's your other favorite go-to podcast?
I do love the Gus Gonzalez CRM MVP podcast. If you're looking for a top 10 list, there's no better place to go than that. Mark Smith, I know, kind of was on the network and now is kind of doing his own thing. And then the Steve Mordew has some great podcasts as well, where he just kind of calls people up. So I enjoy those as well.
Well, great. We love to support everybody in the community, so we'll put those links in the show notes for this for this episode. So thanks. Next question: Contoso, AdventureWorks, or Fabricam? Which one do you prefer?
I'm a Contoso guy. That especially coming from portals, you spin up a portal, you'll see Contoso right in the top right or top left-hand corner. So I got to say Contoso.
And they're a very diverse company. I feel like they've got their fingers in about every business you can imagine.
Yeah, they're very well diversified. The goal of any company is to be that diversified for sure.
Okay, great. This next part we call buy or sell. So like a stock, I'll give you an idea and you just tell me, is that something you want to buy or sell or even hold? So buy or sell, non-developers writing Power Apps.
So I always struggle with this because I hate the no code thing, because to me it's like, oh, it's no code, and then you're in there and you're writing all these formulas, and people, I guess, don't realize that that's what coding is.
Right.
So whether you have a traditional development education and you have, hey, yes, I did C# for 20 years, I still think that it's still coding. So I sell on the no code, but I buy on low code.
Got it. Okay. Next, buy or sell, polymorphic lookup fields.
I buy those. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, wait, like it wasn't there before. We don't do a ton of the Canvas apps, focusing more on portals, but yeah, when it was announced, it was like, oh, I didn't even know that wasn't there, and yeah, it seems super critical when you're doing anything having to do with accounts and contacts. I mean, a lot of those relationships are those polymorphic, so I buy hard on those.
Portals for CDS, buy or sell?
Well, obviously, I'm going to buy those. The portal is really the way that you engage with external audiences, and so there's these great Canvas-based Power Apps that you can do, but the problem is that you can't at this point allow people to outside of your organization, if they don't have an account in your Azure Active Directory, you can't let them into your Canvas-based Power Apps. The portal lets you get around that. You can expose your data anywhere, and now that you don't have to do that with a Dynamics license, you can do that kind of on the Power Platform with your P2 licenses. I think it's fantastic.
Okay, buy or sell, maintenance mode.
Yeah, so there's this new maintenance mode on the portal that lets you turn on a nice screen when your Dynamics instance isn't available. So whereas before, if you're going through the upgrade process and your Dynamics instance was down for a couple hours, you get a really ugly a really ugly error page. Now you can turn on maintenance mode. I'm buying it. I'm not buying it as much as some other people. Some people are really loving this, and to me, it seems like a pretty small feature that should have been easy to implement. But at the same time, I think it should have been there a long time ago. So I'm a little like, yeah, it's about time kind of thing. But yeah, it's certainly useful. And for these things, people care so much about what their external audience are seeing. So if your external audience is going to your portal and seeing a big ugly error page, that's not good. So
right.
So I do like the maintenance mode.
Okay, buy or sell, punting on third down.
So being from Canada, we play real football up here, where there's only 3 downs instead of 4 downs. It's funny you mentioned punters, because the big news here in Saskatchewan is that we just signed a new punter. and he's actually an ex-NFL player. He's John Ryan, who was the punter for the Seattle Seahawks for many, many years. So yeah, he I guess couldn't cut it in the NFL anymore, but we're happy to have our hometown boy back in Saskatchewan. So as much as we don't want to see him on the field, we'll probably see him, punting a few times on third down.
Does that speed the game up, or I don't know if I've watched a full game of CFL ball.
Yeah, what it means is a lot more passing. I know in NFL, it's turned into a lot more of a passing league now. But traditionally, CFL was all much more of a passing league because, yeah, you can maybe run on first down, but if you don't have a short yardage on second down, you're passing. So the passing game is a lot more prevalent in the CFL. So, and I don't know, I think running's boring, so I think it makes it more exciting.
So that's a strong buy.
That's a strong buy.
Last question. The Rough Riders in the Grey Cup this year.
Oh, I have to say buy. But I hate those people who just, think, yes, this is the year, every year, this is going to be the year. We have a decent team, but the quarterback situation right now in the CFL is not in our favor. There were a few big free agents and we didn't kind of hit the jackpot. So my heart says buy, but my head probably says sell.
Well, great. Nick, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks again for the invitation. And I hope everyone has a chance to try out the new portals on CDS.
Thanks.
That's all for today's Power Platform Daily Brief. Power on.